Priestess with Pamela Eakins. Epilogue. Born Priestess. After traveling through more than 5 millennia of practicing as a priestess, I realize in retrospect, I was born a priestess, not made. I was not made priestess through immersing in a certain body of knowledge or receiving a certain kind of training. Rather, I arose again and again with a certain set of values. It was what I valued that made me a priestess. I placed high value on the natural world and the primeval human consciousness, which in my mind aligns itself in rhythm and time with the turnings of the cosmos. In the end, I do not believe I necessarily or sufficiently answered the question I began with: what was the single most important event in the early Christian church that removed the goddess-oriented religious base and replaced it with a father orientation? There were so many events dating from the time of Akhenaten to the present, wherein women are still not allowed to enter into the Catholic priesthood, which contributed to the father orientation, both unintentionally and intentionally. In the end, after searching life, after moving through innumerable glorious celebrations as well as calamities untold, a new set of questions and an entirely new set of revelations began to emerge. In the end, I realized the journey was about understanding the journey itself, the journey of the soul. I realized that the journey of my soul entails not only the quest for meaning, but the deep cosmological urge to celebrate life and the wonder of the cosmos that gives rise to us. In the end, I began to understand that birth, death, and resurrection are all part of the cosmological passion play. Everything in and of the cosmos, which is all that exists, every star and planet, every mountain, dandelion, and mountain lion, is born, emerges into fullness, then eventually disperses into the universe, where it is inevitably recombined into the new. In this way, no energy or substance is ever lost, and that which we call death is only the continual transmutation of the universe on the path of its own becoming. Through various segments in the course of history, my perceptions were differently framed. This depended on the culture into which I was born and the process of my own socialization. But what did not change was my internal drive toward direct perception, my sense of awe and reverence, and my desire to celebrate the magnificence of the unimaginably intelligent cosmos, within and without. I was not drawn toward entering into structured religion for the purposes of furthering the goals of that particular institution. Rather, I may have entered into structured religion to find a position in society from which I could celebrate the sacred. But the religion itself was a means by which to celebrate. It could never be for me an unexamined temple of righteousness. Religion has been a springboard of ideas for me, ideas that might have the potential to catapult me ever deeper into my own search for cosmological understanding. To this end, through time, I immersed in many religions, Western, Eastern, and indigenous, though this immersion per se did not make me a priestess. In fact, at various times, I worried about becoming trapped in a cage of internally self-consistent religious teachings. However, There were moments when being inside a particular religion and under the protection of that religion was the only way to continue to practice or to serve in a public manner. As I saw it, this is how a priest serves, cradled in the bounded realm of the religious paradigm. I did, as we have seen, become a full-fledged priest, a fully ordained minister, in order to enter into a socially sanctioned profession that might fulfill my desire to serve as a priestess. In this profession, as a minister, I officiated through seasonal changes and the seasons of human life. Being engaged in this profession and in this role in society made me a priest and honored my sense of myself as a priestess, but this affiliation did not make me a priestess. I was priestess born, not made. Being a priestess was my deep inborn calling, a calling which may lead one into the priesthood, or it may not. In fact, when I was ordained as a minister in this lifetime, I sewed garnets and charms with private meanings into the sacred stole which was laid upon my shoulders at the climax of my ordination. The garnets were to remind me that my womanness, my woman blood, my woman's sensibilities would always take precedence over my duties to any religious organization. The charms were to remind me that, in my own consciousness, all religions lead to the same place: cosmic love and eternal reverence. I served in the priesthood for 25 years, but during all those years, upholding my values as a priestess was what mattered. Being a priestess, to me, was not about politics, not about who was archbishop, not about how to charge for a wedding, not about the clash of religion against religion. Being a priestess was about finding my own way to remain alive and astonished as a cosmologically oriented human being existing on a planet 2/3 of the way out on one of the spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy. As a priestess, I saw myself moving about the planet that moved about in the solar system, that moved about in the galaxy, that traveled with 30 sister galaxies through a universe filled with untold billions upon billions of galaxies, each one extraordinarily unique. I did not know in the beginning, some 5 millennia ago, which is my earliest memory to date, but I came to understand that I, too, am a universe, born of cosmos, no more and no less than a star. I came to understand through time and deep delving within and without that the universe is not out there somewhere. Rather, the universe is living its sacred life as me and through me right now. I came to understand that I am state-of-the-art cosmos at the cutting edge of its own development. My thoughts are the thoughts of cosmos. My actions are cosmic actions. I am universe unfolding in each and every moment. It took me a long time to arrive at these sensibilities, which were not part of the teachings of the seminary in the 20th century when I was studying for the priesthood. For me, being a priestess came to be about understanding that, for those who have ears to hear, every place one steps is holy ground. I came to value the whole of the universe as sacred. This was the path that opened to me from the inside out and from the outside in throughout the millennia of experiencing what it means to inhabit our human consciousness. If I am sacred, all are sacred. If I am at the cutting edge of universal development, all are at the cutting edge of universal development. All that is in existence right now. The now is the cutting edge of existence. You and I are breathing the same air in this very moment, at the very edge of existence. Our hearts are pounding out a universal rhythm in the core of our bodies, in the very center of existence. This is not a contradiction. We are edge and center, perceiving this very moment in this very moment. We are living universe with the ability to reflect upon its own nature. We can reflect and, on the basis of our reflections, alter our course. We stand at the cutting edge of universal consciousness, armed with the power of choice. Becoming able to exercise the power of choice is what being a priestess means to me. Being a priestess means being a woman of power, a woman with the ability to know and to express the truths that are ringing in her soul. Claiming and exercising the power of self-expression is to realize true liberation. In fact, self-expression is the ultimate measure of liberation. To not be able to express one's core truths and values is to be bound into a life not fully lived. That is why, having practiced as both a priest and a priestess, I define the two differently. That is why I sewed the garnets into my minister's stole, so I would remember not to become trapped by a paradigm, any paradigm someone or some institution might try to force upon me. Being a priestess, to me, is expressing and receiving in equal measure, searching and learning and continually evolving as a woman of power. A woman of power knows herself, not once and for all, but as an ongoing process. A woman of power recognizes she is cosmos on the path of its own discovery and creation. To develop her creativity, she becomes highly attuned to the longings of her heart. For are the longings of her own soul not the longings of the universe itself moving toward wholeness? A woman of power attunes to the callings of her body, her mind, her heart, and her spirit, and allows herself to be moved by what she feels. Thus, a woman of power changes as the internal and external universe shifts. This is a good thing. Moving with the cosmic flow of energies while being aware of and acting upon the feelings in one's own heart is the key to becoming an active participant in the evolution of the universe. It is to be an active participant in the universal adventure, which ultimately creates a deep and unassailable sense of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. Being a priestess is about following the heart and meeting and engaging with the beloved, in whatever form the beloved may appear. Thereby is the future conceived. Thereby does the priestess become the creatrix of that which shall be. The beloved may appear as a person, a place, or an object in any form at all. Being aware that one has encountered one's beloved and not being afraid to follow that truth is what it means to me to be a priestess. She who is a woman of power. Here is one way the beloved appeared to me recently. 2 3-month-old mountain lion cubs were shot and killed by wardens from the Department of Fish and Game. The kittens were exterminated because they had wandered into our town, and the game wardens feared the lions might pose a threat to the human population. Deeply offended by what I considered to be a needless slaying by the authorities, I took action by writing letters, placing flowers on the lion's shrine, and giving money to a wildlife refuge. I was not alone in my actions. Many others had the same idea, and as a result, the Fish and Game Department saw their error, apologized, and began to revamp their policies toward mountain lions and bears in our state. Do you see? The mountain lions were my beloved. I followed my heart's desire by taking action. The resulting birth was new public policy. How did I know the mountain lions were my beloved? I felt it in my body. I knew it in my soul. While the mountain lion issue did not have to be everyone's issue, I knew it was my issue because my physical reaction was so strong. To begin with, I just completed writing the Lightning Papers, 10 Powers of Evolution, in which I provide detailed information about the period of mass extinction we are currently in, which heightened my intellectual understanding of the severity of the crime. But further, I am a cat lover. I have always been a cat lover through many lifetimes and a lover of wildness in general. Wildness is in my soul, and I just had to act. Honoring that physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual nudge, that deeply intuitive call, is what being a priestess means to me. Of course, there is not time in a lifetime to act upon all issues. Thus, again, a priestess must enter into the power of choice. We cannot choose all, and by making a choice to enter into one engagement and not another, we must sacrifice many possibilities in favor of our highest calling. A priestess, a woman of power, knows this, and she chooses anyway. She makes a choice to do one thing and not another because she understands herself. She understands her deepest calling, and she understands what it means to engage the beloved. By taking action, she realizes fully and completely she belongs. She was meant to be here. It took 13.7 billion years for our universe to evolve to bring her forth in her singular nature, just as she is right now. And now she realizes she is a key participant. She understands that what she chooses matters. A priestess knows herself, which means she not only learns how to act proactively, but how to navigate challenges. She teaches herself how to move through narrow physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual straits. Like the archetypal priestess in Tarot of the Spirit, a tarot deck created by my mother and me, she learns how to travel through the desert like a camel. She might have to go for long stretches without water. Thus, she learns how to conserve. She learns how to fill herself and ultimately how to keep the endless channel of cosmic fulfillment open. Thus, she learns how to replenish herself at will. Striving to do this in any event becomes one of her spiritual practices. As she learns the nature of self-fulfillment, she may become a water bearer, she who not only fulfills herself, but who offers sustenance into the cosmos. A priestess is on the spiritual path. She realizes she is cosmos, coming to know its own existence, and that is something she celebrates. She learns to discover joy in the greening of a field, the tumbling of a wave, the formation of a cloud, and the chirping of a migrating goldfinch. The priestess has a deeply spiritual approach to life, or at least that is my experience. In my experience, a priestess is not made by memorizing intellectual systems and practicing rote rituals. Rather, a priestess is born. A priestess is an archetypal seeker, ensconced in universal wonder. She is born unto herself as a celebrant of the sacred. As such, her rituals are never rote and her knowledge is never static. How does a priestess define the sacred? For those who have eyes to see, all the cosmos can be held as sacred. She who is priestess born experiences the calling to hold the whole of the cosmos in reverence, to observe the tides and seasons, to immerse in marking the life of the cosmos through spiritual celebration. What others may call mundane, the priestess may call sacred. What others may call profane, the priestess may call an opportunity to engage in the evolution of cosmological design. For she who is priestess born realizes she is no more and no less than the holy cosmos itself, engaged in the act of its own imaginal becoming. Thank you, my friends, for joining me for the reading of Priestess. To learn about my other books and classes, please log on to PamelaEakins.net. For now, wishing you a joyful journey. Lovingly, Sister Pamela.